You are here. Welcome to the cosmic education of the lower elementary classroom. I am Spencer Martell, a lower elementary guide at Sundrops Montessori School. To give some background, the quotes from Maria's personal works tend to use the pronouns he, him, his in reference to the child as was appropriate in her context, though I will do my best to honor our modern use of pronouns as the individual identities of our children should be respected. And though I am only giving a glimpse into the expansive curriculum, my goal for this presentation is to have you leave this evening excited and inspired by the educational journey your child is or will be on in the Montessori elementary classroom. I want to introduce some fundamental texts. To Educate the Human Potential, written by Maria Montessori, discusses the psychological and philosophical rationale for her method, as well as organizes how her cosmic education can be presented. This book, along with her many other publications and transcribed speeches, give us the foundation for her cosmic education. To quote Maria, "Our pupils are equipped in their whole being for the adventure of life, accustomed to the free exercise of will and judgment illuminated by the imagination and enthusiasm. Only such pupils can exercise rightly the duties of citizens in a civilized commonwealth." The second text I would like to introduce is From Childhood to Adolescence, also written by Maria Montessori. She goes deep into the needs of a child at each developmental stage, from 7 to university. In this work, she makes a study of each level and corresponding approach for encouraging and guiding a child's growth, and I find the foundation of her cosmic education clearly interwoven. To again quote Maria, "My vision for the future is no longer of people taking exams and proceeding on that certification from the secondary school to the university, but of individuals passing from one stage of independence to a higher by means of their own activity, through their own effort of will, which constitutes the inner evolution of the individual." And the third publication I would like to discuss before I dive into the cosmic curriculum is Children of the Universe, written by Michael and Danielle Duffy. It is a newer publication that explores the history of the cosmic education, investigating the evolution of certain aspects and restating Maria's philosophy and curricular design. My presentation is organized into the parts of this beautiful structure you see on the cover, depicting the many levels of the cosmic curriculum. And to quote Michael and Danielle, "Cosmic education can introduce elementary-age children to the universal values that can save us from wars and planetary destruction. My purpose in publishing this book is to bring home the importance of helping students to use themselves not as self-engrossed individuals, but as children of the universe with all that this image details." To teach details, Maria says, is to bring confusion. To establish the relationship between things is to bring knowledge. And so we give our students the story of the beginning. Maria's cosmic education was created to guide the child to begin to investigate the question, who am I? And to define some of Maria's vocabulary, the meme is the identity that comes from ancestry, and the horn is the vital urge of evolutionary survival, and the cosmic task, which we all have, is a life-related goal or contribution to the universe. To quote Maria, touching or the sensorial works for the younger child in the first plane of development is what imagining is for the older child in the second plane of development. But the imagination has need of support. So, we present the universe in a dramatic narrative to appeal to the imagination of the 6 to 9-year-old, a whole comprised of many parts.
As it was moving and shaking and moving and shaking, at one point, oh! That's boom. expanded.
This is not only the foundation for all cultural lessons to come, but more importantly, it is the beginning of our shared ancestry. Maria tells us, by offering the child the story of the universe, we give him something 1,000 times more infinite and mysterious to reconstruct with his imagination. These initial stories grow more complex with each year, so that the theory of the Big Bang for the first year might be deconstructed into quarks and gluons by the third. In our classroom, first story, then study. First present the whole, then the detailed parts will come into view. The story of the stars and the solar system. Who am I? You are the stuff of stars, the same atoms of carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, and heavy elements that were created over 4.5 billion years ago. These are the atoms that make up you. And to educate the human potential, Maria discusses our cosmic connection with all things, saying, quote, "So close is our relation that we cannot understand a stone without some understanding of the great sun." And to give perspective, Duffy reminds us, quote, "Our sun is a descendant of 8 billion years of creativity, and we humans do not just have a metaphorical link to the stars. We are descendants of the life cycle of stars in a real and physical sense." So at the beginning of the year, we receive the great lessons and we discuss our place in the universe with an impressionistic material, beginning with the universe and ending with the energy inside all living things. As Michael and Danielle Duffy put it, quote, "We tap into the mystical experience of being part of the cosmos and help our students realize they truly are children of the universe." We can now begin to study parts of the solar system, layers of the sun, stellar nucleosynthesis, our moon's cycle, the constellations, and the stuff of all things, atoms and elements. As Maria says, the idea now is to sow the seeds of the sciences. The story of Earth. Who am I? You are an Earthling. Our planet was born 5.5 billion years ago and had quite the chaotic upbringing. Amidst the intense gravitational compression of particles and the explosive forces of these compressed elements, Earth hung in a delicate balance. In the first great lesson, the story of the universe, we present concepts in a dramatic way, demonstrating the states of matter, gravity, laws of attraction, evaporation and condensation, and the seemingly chaotic but perfect process to ready this planet for life.
Oh my god, this is like one of his no, he's actually gonna take That really scared me to death. It didn't stay on me.
These impressionistic lessons allow us to go deeper as we study Earth's history. And from here, we can dive down into the Earth and up into its atmosphere. We discuss the formation of mountains and volcanoes and the cycles of water, rocks, nitrogen, and carbon. We look at the advanced land and water forms, the sun's relationship with Earth, the seasons and geographical time zones, the passage of time, and conduct experiments to help us understand the planet we live on. To quote Children of the Universe, "Thus another step has been taken toward understanding who we are and discovering our cosmic task." The story of life. Who am I? You are a living thing, only recently evolved in the grand scheme of Earth's history. This is the second great lesson. The story of life, as far as we know, are moderately sized green planets surrounded by a thin, life-sustaining film is only one of its kind. And so our students turn to history and biology, starting with the impressionistic lesson of the long black strip. And this is just a snapshot of the very end. Maria's original long black strip was said to be 300 meters long, but today we use one about 100 feet or 30 meters long. It demonstrates the massive length of time that occurred before human life on Earth. What a perspective to have of our planet's history. Next, we demonstrate the division of Earth's history on a clock face. Eons divided into eras. The last thin red strip, only 17 seconds, represents the Neozoic or Quaternary period, humans upon Earth. Students study the kingdoms of life, phylums, taxonomy, and here we have an introductory lesson in organizing buttons based on characteristics. We look at zoology and the parts and body functions of plants and animals and the evolution of all life, which is broken down into eras and periods on the timeline of life. And this lends itself to so much research and so many extensions that can last throughout the entire year. All life, Maria says, has a cosmic task. From the crinoids aiding in the decalcification of the ocean to continent movement, trapping the oversalinized ocean and turning it into lakes and salt flats, to the evolution of fish to amphibian to reptile to bird and finally mammal, we can begin to know whence we came and where we are going. The story of humans. Who am I? You are Homo sapiens. The third great lesson, the story of humans, is when we discuss our 2 billion years of ancestral family tree with the timeline of humans. It gives us a closer look at the Quaternary period, telling stories of the handyman, Homo habilis, the upright human, Homo erectus, and the wise human, Homo sapiens. And always keeping up to date and reporting on the most recent findings, like the uncovering of fossils in 2013 from 15 individuals of the new species of early human, the starman, Homo naledi. We present our study of science as a factual narrative, ever changing as we discover new things that bring us closer to understanding. The fundamental needs of humans becomes a baseline of research as we look at how each age of man satisfied these needs. Here we have students recreating shelters. We look at the migration of humans out of Africa and discuss how humans adapted and changed to survive different environments, like why humans have different colored skin. Melanocytes, represented by the sparkly purple disc on this student-made section of skin. Which brings us to human biology. The story of the Great River introduces a strange land of cooperative agencies all doing specific jobs for the greater of the whole, these agencies being the systems of the body. Our frame of study is ever narrowing towards and focusing on the child. The story of civilizations. Who am I? You are part of a long history of civilizations. From the agricultural, architectural, and transportive advancements of the Bronze and Iron Ages all the way through the ancient and modern civilizations, we grow closer and closer to our current day as we make new history. The story of geometry takes us to the Great Nile as rope stretchers, mapping out farmlands after the great floods. And from here we learn about lines and shapes and measure the world. The story of language opens up the study of alphabets, bookmaking, grammar, punctuation, sentence analysis, word study, reading, and so much more. And the story of numbers tells us how different peoples kept track of things and leads to measurement, money, time, etc. These traditional subjects come into focus as we realize a deeper meaning through their histories. We open the door to all inventions and discoveries of all kinds. Maria says, we must ourselves feel and inspire in the children admiration for all pioneers, known and unknown, possessors of the flame which lighted the path for humanity. Thanks to our inventors and discoverers, we have the ability to look deeper with microscopes, venture to the bottom of the ocean, see farther with telescopes and satellite footage, and even venture into space. This past year, the Voyager 2 ventured into interstellar space, still able to send data back. We do not cultivate admiration, Maria says, for these past and present adventurers and explorers, for the sake of paying them with our gratitude, for they are beyond our reach. We want to sow the seeds of curiosity and wonderment so they realize their own discoveries are valuable in the progress of humankind. Montessori and the future. Maria's cosmic and peace education grew out of a time of war and internment. Her schools were banned in Nazi Germany and soon after that in fascist Italy, and though she and her son visited India upon invitation, they were kept as enemy aliens when Italy declared war on Great Britain. Prior to World War II, Maria gave speeches on peace and education to international congresses and peace councils in many countries, and was proposed as a Nobel Peace Prize candidate in 1949 and 1950. Maria recognized a great misunderstanding with the meaning of peace, that peace is the submission of one to another post-war. She further discusses this notion in regards to the subconscious battle between the child and the adult. An oppressive education that does not revere the individual child as the greatest teacher and hope for the future only continues this misunderstanding of peace, and thus mankind from attaining what peace truly can be. She had an unwavering belief that it is the work of education to guide a child to master himself just as he masters the world around him, and allow him to have, quote, a hunger for knowledge and understanding, but also a claim to mental independence, a desire to distinguish good from evil by his own powers, and to resent the limitations of arbitrary authority. In our classroom, we discuss peace as something we can cultivate for ourselves and for others, as classroom community members and as global community members. We seek learning opportunities in cooperating and allow the children to practice resolving conflicts peacefully and independently. It is through the strengthening of these invisible moral muscles that the child learns self-discipline and empathy and stands, quote, in their own inner light, a light that will guide us to a brighter future.